Luxury fashion retailers, are you trying to scale your internal brands while growing your partner brands as well? In this video, I'm going to show you how I generated over 168K for my client using Google Ads. As you can see from date ranges of April 12th to October 14th, generated 170K in revenue, about a 4.8 return on ad spend with a 4x goal, 1,400 purchases while spending 35,000. So the first issue with this account when I took it over was essentially the conversion tracking was messed up. Bad data in equals bad results out. So you can see here that we were basically using a conversion that wasn't tracking as accurately, essentially the sales. So you switched it over to this Google Shopping app purchase as a primary. And then also the add to carts and checkout starts were also set to primary conversions, which was, as always, making Google get more window shoppers and affecting the results of the account overall, as well as even like the page views was also getting essentially set as conversions. And this really inflated the conversion value and revenue, ultimately affecting the account and affecting like the cost per to acquire new customers. So switching that over was the first most important factor. Number two, since this client really wanted to push its own internal brands because of the profit margins and the ability, once you control your own brands, you can do a lot more with the marketing, the pricing, and everything. We wanted to figure out a way how to push those internal brands. Many times they were thinking about changing the website, having its own site altogether, then have the retailers. But instead of that, we tested essentially a few different campaign types. And what ended up working the best was essentially a Performance Max campaign with assets that were segmenting the products before. Because previously they had one main Performance Max campaign with all the products within there, not even segmented by the brand type. They were all just targeting essentially internal brands, partner brands, and everything. So by segmenting this out and testing Performance Max, we were able to get a 7x ROAS, generate 28K in revenue while spending 3,000. So this was very good to segment that out and push that higher margin type of product line for the client overall, which really helped their results in testing the best performing assets and using customer lists as a signal of people that bought prior so they could be upsold on basically the internal brand after purchasing and getting a good experience. Maybe they'll want to try some of the better priced brands from them specifically. So that's the first thing we did. And then next, we also want to experiment and scale up the account outside of just the internal brands. So we had to do a lot of different testing, including running discovery campaigns to create demand for certain lines that really wasn't there before. So testing discovery, which is a campaign type that essentially where ads or creative would show up on the Google app, Gmail, and YouTube homepage. So these are good to test in sprints to generate demand. And then later on, you're able to retarget with Performance Max, and it's more likely to scale outside. So testing discovery, as well as with shopping campaigns, this is a good fundamental thing to have a lower bid for top of the funnel, because often what you'll see with Performance Max and what this account kind of saw was that it won't essentially bid for lower terms within Performance Max because it's always trying to push for a conversion goal. But with shopping, you can help to kind of push and expand it by doing a lower bid standard shopping campaign where you can pick up some cheaper sales and ultimately scale the account overall. So testing those other different types of campaigns was very, very beneficial. And then secondly, just on the Performance Max side, we wanted to test. So the main Performance Max campaign that was running, we wanted to test the best sellers without assets, meaning no images, pictures, or videos, to see how that would do. And then we also wanted to test newer items, as well as best sellers with assets. So from the experimentation, we tested without assets, and this didn't perform as well because in the fashion and beauty niche, it's very important to have the visual aspect because you're selling a feeling and emotion rather than just competing on price and the shopping and search network. It's really good to have the entire nurturing of the funnel with creative. So that's what we saw, that assets outperformed even bestsellers than not having any assets at all. So lifestyle imagery, our target customer using it, having a lot of like beneficial types of copy, really did really good in testing signals around bestseller signals. Competitors in the marketplace all did really really good to push more bestsellers and take them outside of just the main single PMAX campaign. And then also, we were testing newer items with no audience signal testing because essentially you want to see how they perform in the market because there's no essentially data on them. So you want to give some budget to allow Google to test slowly so that the account's not flatlining. And these are all really good experiments that the account took into account. Next, on the specific other types of campaign experiments, you can see um, some Performance Max with new assets experiments where you're testing Performance Max versus standard shopping, and Performance Max just did better, and also phrase match types of experiments to basically A/B test the account overall and just continue to make sure that the account wasn't just staying stagnant overall. Next was the Google Merchant Center optimization and essentially promotions. So what we did was essentially always made sure that the promotions were always being refreshed in the account so that they could get the proper amount of clicks and conversions. So one of the most recent ones was a fall sale going into Q4. We found it very important to capture the promotional type of mindset and people wanted to purchase more. So adding this promotion here and also to Google Merchant Center was very critical to making sure that the products were always up to date and giving people the best offer on products in general, as well as making sure that there were no disapprovals for products that were irrelevant because often Google's machine learning will just auto disapprove certain products if it has like a picture of a pretty lady. So you want to make sure you're monitoring that and appealing and making sure to stay on top of it. Luxury fashion retailers. If you'd like me to help you scale your internal brands, or if you just want to scale your partner brands, reach out to me for a free one-on-one consultation below.